Imagine you open your eyes and you are in complete darkness. You blink a couple of times, trying to adjust to the darkness. Nothing happens. Quite the opposite. That darkness gets heavier, consuming every space that surrounds you. It's getting hard to breathe. You feel a heaviness in your chest and expands all around you. You gasp for air as the pressure builds. You're running out of oxygen. The sweat from your forehead is making your eyes burn. You think this is it. The end is near. You take one last big breath, and as you release the air, the heaviness goes away, and your body feels light. A cool breeze hits your face, making you shiver. A bright light comes from the sky, blinding you completely. You think you've made it. You made it into heaven. But suddenly you hear a loud booming voice emanating from above. "Ladies and gentlemen," the voice says, "hold on to your hats and prepare to see the astonishing, the magnificent magic of Robert Houdin." Your eyes adjust, realizing where you are. 20 people stare at you as you sit in a wooden chair, a magician standing next to you. Smiling, he holds a blanket, which he has just taken off you. The crowd gasps as he yells, "The Vanishing Lady." You stare blankly at them, trying to figure out why they are screaming and gasping. It feels like they are looking right through you. The magician hands go right through you and lifts the wooden chair you're sitting in, showing the crowd that you are truly gone. And with a swing of his magic hands, he hovers them above the wooden chair, and suddenly, a rotten skeleton sits in your place. You laugh from the side of the stage, realizing the trick of it and the shock coming from the crowd. As the magician's assistant, you know all his trick and gags, but even sometimes you get a bit confused. The crowd continues to scream at the old skeletal figure in the chair. The magician grabs the blanket from the ground and throws it over the decayed figure. As he pulls it off for the final time, there you are again, sitting perfectly normal in the wooden chair. This is the plot to The Conjuring of a Woman at the House of Robert Houdin, or simply The Vanishing Lady. This is the third installment in the Every Horror Movie Ever Made series. Released in 1886, the French filmmaker took inspiration from a real magic act he once saw in the theater, helping his vision for his junior film, The Vanishing Lady. The characters. We of course have the magician himself, played by the pioneer of horror, Georges Méliès. He's back, with this being his third film in the horror genre. As for the star, or should I say stars of the show, we have the Vanishing Lady, played by Jeanne Dalcy and her companion, the Skeleton. Mr. Méliès kept his cast limited to a small number, usually 1 or 2 people. Unlike today's films that have hundreds of characters running amok, the fact that George could make this big of an impact with only 3 characters is insane. Jeanne Dalcy was perfect for the role due to her having experience with the stage version of the illusion. She performed at the Theatre Robert Houdin and was excellent at it due to her small stature, ideal for the escaping down trapdoors. But Mr. Méliès didn't need a trapdoor for this trick. In turn, he relied on something even more magical than that. Special effects. Shot outside in Mr. Méliès's garden, like his previous film, he used a platform which he decorated with theatrical scenery based on the famous stage illusion by Boitier de Colta. But instead of that trapdoor to make the woman vanish, he used an editing technique known as substitution splice. Méliès carried out the trick using cinematic special effects rather than conventional stage machinery. Substitution splice also allowed Méliès to add new material to the end of the trick inventing the appearance and transformation of the skeleton prop and Dalsey's return. The film, notable as Méliès's first no use of cinematic special effects, survives in film archives to this day. Style/subgenre. In terms of style, The Vanishing Lady is a bit gothic due to the creepy-looking black and white theater setting, not to mention his great skeleton prop. And what's more gothic than skeletons? For the most part, all of George Méliès' films have a similar style that even predates the gothic horror style itself. But these elements alone could give anyone the creeps back in the day. As for subgenre, it really is a mix of genres, rather than it belonging to one genre alone. I would consider this film a horror fantasy flick, and not necessarily in any subgenre. The problem with these first horror films ever made is that they're way too short for any real grasp on a selective subgenre. Don't get me wrong, the flicks are fantastic, due to paving the way for the horror genre. Just wished they were a tad longer. Rating. My overall rating for this film is a staggering 5.4. A 5 for the creation of substitution splice, which was a game changer for films all around the world and throughout film history. And a 0.4 due to the creativity behind the film, and for the star of the show, the amazing skeleton. Jokes aside, without this film, we wouldn't have a lot of the amazing creativity and special effects in today's world. For it being about a minute long, its inspiration will live on forever and ever. George Méliès has many names: the pioneer of horror, the father of special effects, but there's one more that everyone is forgetting, and that is the god of creativity. We are only 3 films in, and the creative ability captured in these minute long films is incredible, especially for its time. Just making a short film was insane in the 1800s, but to have elements of storytelling, special effects, and everything else that makes a good film is astonishing. So, in conclusion, as you sit in your wooden chairs, just wishing so bad to vanish from everyday situations, going off somewhere between our world and theirs, remember, death is only the beginning.